The politics lead now. He's a fast-rising GOP star, a Tea Party favorite, and at one point was perhaps the most controversial man in Madison, Wisconsin. That's fair, right? Governor Scott Walker made a name for himself by taking on public employees unions and facing down crowds like this one in the state capitol. The war that erupted there 3 years ago is credited with launching the Occupy movement in some ways. It was fought over Walker's plan to strip away unions' collective bargaining powers. Despite the clamor and intense media coverage, Walker was victorious. He's written about the experience in his new book, Unintimidated, a governor's story and a nation's challenge. And Governor Scott Walker joins me now. Congratulations on the book. Was that a fair description? Or you have to take issue with anything that I
No, you're right at one point. Now, the interesting thing I talk about, amongst many interesting things in the book, is we talk about Obama-Walker voters. In the end, in one of the exit polls after my recall election, there were literally 1 out of 6 voters in my state who voted for me who planned to vote for Barack Obama, which politically doesn't make a lot of sense.
In the recall or in the
well,
first
in the
election?
recall, they voted for me, and then they were planning a few months later in 2012 to vote for the president, which we talk about in the book, the reasons for that, because in both cases, to that middle undecided voter, we made the case based on leadership, and they were hungry for it.
Let's talk specifically about something you've been very outspoken about recently, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. You don't care for it. You think it's bad. But in your home state, you're trying to do your own health care reform, Badger Care. And critics have said that you're trying to have it both ways, because one of the ways you make Badger Care work is by having 80,000 people currently on Medicaid go into Obamacare. So what do you say to critics who say you can't have it both ways? You're either for it or you're against it, but you can't be against it while you're using it.
Well, that's just not accurate, because what I point out is, obviously, I fought this every step of the way, ran against it twice, empowered my attorney general to join the federal lawsuit, did not take the state exchange, deferred to the federal exchange, and didn't take the Medicaid expansion. But what I did was not take the false choice offered to us out of the federal government. It was either some states took the money, the Medicaid expansion, and with it, the financial risk that now becomes even more apparent for a federal government that can't even do a website. Conversely, other states did not take it and kind of left some of their people out in the cold. What we did was say, for everybody living above poverty, we're going to transition them into the marketplace, which includes a federal exchange option for those at the lower end of the income. And for the first time in our state's history, we cover everyone living in poverty will now be covered under Medicaid. To us, it's just saying that's the law. If there's an alternative in the future, which I've advocated for, that would be a better way of serving the people in my state.
Obviously, you're probably best known nationally for the showdown with the employee unions, public sector unions in Wisconsin. This, in your book, Unintimidated, this is how you describe the throngs of protesters that descended upon the Capitol 3 years ago. Quote, "The odor of unwashed humanity wafted through the hallways. People were smoking pot inside the Capitol. There were so many sleeping bags, inflatable mattresses, and tents that my staff often joked about how many protest babies there would be in 9 months' time." Now, I know that a lot of these protesters were very hostile to you, and you detail the many threats that you got. But that's not all the protesters. And I have to say, sometimes the tone I would hear 3 years ago, and even in this book, sounds a bit disdainful. And I wonder if, looking back, you feel that there's anything you could have done different when it comes to tone and speaking to these individuals.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Not so much the tone for the protesters. There's probably nothing I could have done or said, particularly for those that came in from other states. Because originally it was people from Wisconsin. First week, 2 weeks in, we started seeing buses in from Chicago. We saw people coming in. And we didn't just have to guess. They had their signs, they had their banners, they had their jackets.
Sure, they were from other unions and other states.
Places, New York, D.C., Nevada. But for the people in my state, there's no doubt about it. I actually talk in this book. This is not a campaign book in the sense that it's all rah-rah and wonderful. There are some pretty big insights about things we did wrong. One of them was, even though I talked about getting a 5% and 12% contribution from public employees during the campaign, after the election was over, I stopped talking about it. And one of the big mistakes I think I made was, in January of 2011, I was so eager to fix things, I just went out and took action without talking about it. Most politicians, whether it's in state office or federal office, just talk about things but never fix them. What I learned in retrospect is you got to do both. If I made the case not only about how and what we were doing, most importantly, why we were doing what we were doing, which we talk about in the book, I think it would have been a different outcome. You
pledged 250,000 new jobs would be created by the end of your first term. You're not even up to 90,000 yet, at last.
About 100,000 per the latest political.
But you're not going to create another 150,000 in the next year. That's a promise you're probably not going to be able to meet.
Well, it's by 2015, although, put it in context, the reason I did that was under my predecessor, a Democrat. The state lost 133, almost 134,000 jobs. And what I saw were not just jobs, wasn't just statistics. I saw real people in real households with real families and real communities who who are hurting, who are stressing out every month.
But you acknowledge you're probably not going to be able to make that.
Oh, I'm still focused. My goal is by 2015, so not later this year, not later next year, but by 2015, our goal is still to help the people of the state create 250,000 jobs.
Can you pledge that if you're reelected next year, you'll serve all 4 years? Because there's a lot of people around you who say they want you to run for president.
You know, my focus has been not once but twice running for governor. I'm going to run again. That's what my focus is on.
But you can't pledge that.
I've never made promises. I didn't make it in the state assembly, didn't make it as county executive. My promises is not about the time I serve, but what I'll do in office. And I've been very clear with it, which again is why I think there were so many people who voted for me and then a few months later voted for Barack Obama, because we both made promises, very different political views, but both made bold promises.